Ever wondered what happens when a $2 coin tries on a $50 tuxedo? Well, I grabbed the popcorn to find out, because when a kind of mild-mannered software engineer suddenly swears XRP's heading for a price tag big enough to make Jeff Bezos look twice, you can bet that I'm chasing that rabbit down every tunnel in Wonderland. And so there I am, slumped over my desk at 2 a.m, half-finished latte sweating beside my keyboard when Twitter, or X if you like your brand makeovers a little mysterious, lights up with a post from Vincent Van Code. Now, if Marvel ever needs a crypto-powered superhero, this guy's name is already sorted. Now, Vincent's a veteran coder, a stoic type, always allergic to the hype, if you will. Now, when he speaks, the XRP crowd listens the way that cats stalk a laser pointer, sharp, silent, and ready to pounce. And tonight, he kind of finally cracked fine. You want a number? I'm pinning XRP between $30 and $50. Mic drop. Now, no emojis there. There was no rocket ships, no laser eyes, just cold, calculated conviction. Now, I've been around this blockchain block a fair few times, and I know how predictions work. Somebody throws a dart, somebody else kind of moves the target, and everybody cheers. But Vincent is the kind who insists on using a, protractor before he even picks up the dart. And I've got my spidey sense kind of tingling here. So picture this. XRP's been lounging around at $2 and some change for 5 straight months. Kind of like your buddy who says he's leaving the party but keeps just one more ing until sunrise, right? Now suddenly someone claims that it's about to sprint 25 times higher, right? Straight into the VIP room with Bitcoin and Ethereum, waving a $3 trillion market cap wristband, right? Now that's the sort of claim that makes, either makes you legend or memes. But let's go ahead and zoom out, crack open the math and see if Vincent's calculator is leaking optimism, or if we've all been underpricing the digital plumber that unclogs global payments. So first, the raw numbers, right? $2 to $50 equals a 2,400% move. We've seen pretty crazier things, right? Remember Dogecoin's kind of frat party run in 2021? But still, it's Everest, right? Not a neighborhood kind of hill here. So if XRP climbs Everest, its market cap would puff up to roughly $130 billion today to around $3 trillion. You can cue the dramatic gasp soundtrack. Now for context here, Apple, the $1 trillion fruit, currently floats near $3.5 trillion. So yeah, Vincent's basically picturing XRP in the same monetary weight class as iPhones, MacBooks, and every Air kind of pod that you lost under your couch. But of course, we know that market cap in crypto runs different. So we have to ask ourselves, is that insane? Maybe, but insane is crypto's middle name, right? Ask anyone who bought Bitcoin at 8 cents. Risk and reward have been dating since Satoshi hit publish. Now, the question is whether XRP's utility engine is strong enough to justify strapping that rocket to its back. Now, you probably heard the elevator pitch 100 times. Blazing fast settlements, tiny fees, potential for cross-border remittances, on-demand liquidity, partners flirting harder than your ex at a reunion dinner. Yet, the market still sits, arms folded, waiting for the grand moment when utility meets mainstream adoption and says, I do. Now, Vincent's angle is refreshingly simple. He's not claiming secret government memos or alien insider trading. He's just saying, look, I've run the code, literally, and my gut, my spreadsheets, and my grey hairs all point to $30 to $50 eventually. And the best part here is that he admits that he has no clue about timing. It could be next year, it could be 5 years. Timing is a minor point, and he kind of shrugs. Kind of like predicting when your parcel arrives is kind of irrelevant as long as you know that the package exists, right? Now that alone separates him from the carnival barkers screaming, "Next week, bro." But wait. The plot, it thickens. Enter Dustin Layton, another XRP loudspeaker, practically, sprinting past Vincent's modesty, right? Now, Dustin's kind of like that karaoke friend who grabs the mic after a power ballad and blasts death metal. He says 1,000 XRP will profit you at least 50 grand by December 2025. Bookmark, he says. Now that's $5 per coin minimum profit, over today's kind of price, baked in within 6 months, assuming nothing but sunshine and ETFs. Now Dustin's confidence is off the charts, but I'm here for the kind of entertainment value and, well, nothing else. Then there's XRP, the chart wizard with enough Fibonacci spirals to make Leonardo da Vinci dizzy. Now he targets 26 to 33 bucks, and with wicks, of course, those sudden candle spikes, kind of licking 40, if you will. Now, he even calls $10 to $15 the sensible take profit zone. Sensible, he says. Now, in crypto, sensible rarely involves double-digit prices on a $2 asset, but well, that's the room that we're in. So you might be thinking, where do I land? Well, first, let me share a quick misadventure. Back in 2018, I bought XRP at $3, rode it down to 30 cents and decided holding was cheaper than therapy. So I watched as Ripple's lawsuit with the SEC became the crypto equivalent of Friends reruns, endless seasons, dramatic cliffhangers, and everyone kind of chooses sides on. Now, during the darkest episodes, I'd scroll my portfolio and think, did I just pay Ferrari prices for a skateboard? But what kept me from rage selling was precisely the use case angle. Banks, they still needed frictionless cross-border transfers, even if regulatory mud slowed things down. The underlying need never actually vanished. So utility is the turtle in the race. It's boring to watch, but it's unstoppable in the end. Now we can fast forward to today, right? The lawsuit nearly kind of wrapped up, ETF rumors floating around like the sweet smell of cinnamon buns in a mall, and global payment corridors waking up to tokenization. Suddenly, Vincent's $50 doesn't sound like fan fiction. It sounds like a chapter that could be scheduled for late stage editing. So let's go ahead and talk catalysts. Number one, utility adoption, right? If major remittance firms lock in XRP for settlement, demand isn't just speculation, it's operational necessity. Number two, regulatory clarity. Yeah, that phrase is drier than my gluten-free toast. FYI, I'm celiac. So clarity means, I guess, institutional money stops kind of tiptoeing in and actually starts cannonballing. Number three, right? ETFs. If XRP lands a spot ETF, people who can barely kind of spell crypto, of course, will one-click their way into exposure via retirement accounts. Now, remember when spot ETFs, at least what spot ETFs did for Bitcoin volumes? Well, you can copy-paste that enthusiasm, sprinkle in some lawsuit euphoria, and you kind of have a recipe worthy of a chef's kiss. Still, let's pump the brakes. A $3 trillion cap is a mountain of money, right? Although it doesn't actually require $3 trillion of inflows. There has been a document circulating around how inflows, capital inflows, can actually be multiplied for market cap purposes within crypto. It's been documented that for XRP, we have seen up to a 600x multiplier applied to capital inflows on market cap. That's not a small slice of the pie. Even if you were to say 100x, 10x, right, really reduce that multiplying factor down, you can kind of get an idea that the capital inflows could be something like only 300 billion to actually get you to these kind of levels, which would be pretty insane. But global liquidity isn't infinite, right? It does flow where returns are. It has risk appetite and macro conditions, they must align. So if interest rates remain high, if another geopolitical curveball comes, or if regulatory bodies yank the rug at the 11th hour, well, even the most bulletproof utility narrative can catch a cold. And don't forget good old kind of market psychology, right? When price rockets, early investors take profits, sometimes violently. So picture a packed roller coaster where half the riders, jump out mid-loop, right? The momentum shift is a bit of a heartbeat, or can happen in a heartbeat. Which brings me to my rule of 3 Ps, which is plan, pacing, and psychology. Right, you've got to plan your buys and your sells before emotions grab the wheel. Pace your entries. No one wins a tug of war with pure FOMO. And you've got to guard your psychology because markets are mental chess on caffeine drips. And by the way, if you want daily sanity checks without doom scrolling alone, then our free educational Discord server is linked in the description below. We nerd out over the charts, we share lessons learned, and, wander off into meme territory just often enough to keep it fun. You can grab your seat before the next hype wave crashes. Now, you might be thinking, all right, Mr. Word Salad, tell me if I should buy. Now, respectfully, that is not my job. That's between you, your research rabbit holes, and possibly your pillow at 3 a.m. Maybe even a financial advisor if you have one. What I can share is how I'm approaching it, right? I treat XRP like a long-range expedition, right? I keep a core bag locked away like grandma's secret cookie jar, and a smaller swing bag that I'm willing to flip if we surge into irrational exuberance territory. Now, my cookie jar's labeled reads kind of $30 to $50 or bust. Open it, case of moon. Now, my swing bag's label kind of reads take profits, but buy noodles, right? And repeat. Now, if you can copy paste that strategy without understanding the why, then you'll end up blaming me when your kind of noodle budget kind of evaporates. So you got to learn the why. And of course, speaking of budgets, you should probably check out Kraken Pro, the crypto exchange. Yeah, that's the one that's kind of got snazzy kind of decent logo there. But make dollar cost averaging, criminally easy. Now, here's full disclosure. The link that's in the description down below is an affiliate link. So if you use it, you're basically buying me a coffee without paying anything extra. And it genuinely supports the channel's gear upgrade here and the unhealthy kind of sticker obsession. So thanks in advance if you do decide to sign up. Back to the kind of story here and back to Vincent. What makes his call weirdly believable is the humility in it, right? He's not promising a yacht by harvest season. He's not pointing to fundamentals. He's acknowledging the unknowns and still choosing to be publicly accountable. That's rare in this space where, predictions often age like milk in the Sahara. And the community's response, surprisingly nuanced. Some say $30 to $50 is conservative. Others say that it's completely bonkers. But almost everyone agrees on one thing. The window for XRP's big reveal is, well, shrinking. So years of build-up, courtrooms, and corridor integrations, they are converging together. It's kind of like watching a kind of magma balloon under a volcano. You don't know the exact second that it's going to erupt, but you know that the pressure is building. So let's go ahead and sprinkle in some technical spice then. Weekly Fibonacci extension 1.618 at $27. Now traders, they worship that golden ratio like it's the secret level in Mario Brothers. All right, breaching it could trigger automated buy programs and human oh snap buys alike. And then there's the kind of psychological magnet of round numbers. $10, $15, $20, right? Prices love to flirt with big, even numbers because crowds anchor on them. Add in ETF headlines and each headline is like handing the crowd another megaphone. Now, of course, none of this matters if volume doesn't show up, right? So price is a lonely kind of barfly, without any volume. It can strut, but it just simply can't dance. So watch liquidity on exchanges, watch order books, and pay attention to global risk appetite. If everyone's afraid of recessions, even moonshot hesitation, can set in. But if money loosens and investors crave growth, altcoins become the kind of karaoke stars that they were, born to be. Okay, here's a quick anecdote. Last bull run, I saw a friend ignore his take profit targets because he was in it for the tech. And by the time that he had blinked, his 15x gains had shrunk to 3x. And suddenly he remembered his rent. The lesson here? Profit, it is not evil, it's just oxygen, right? If XRP really does sprint to Vincent's $50, remember to breathe along the way. Trim, rebalance, or at least treat yourself to that sushi place that you keep Googling. Now, all the storytelling aside, here's my kind of distilled takeaway. $30 to $50 isn't a fairy tale number if, and it's a capital if, XRP scales real-world usage. Legal clarity locks in and mainstream access gateways kind of open wide. It's a kind of trio of dominoes then. One falling nudge as the next, and as soon as you've got a run stretching past the kind of living room floor, right? But if a domino stays upright, let's say regulation drags on, momentum stalls, sentiment cools, and our tux-wearing coin ends up back in the clearance rack. So keep watching the dominoes, not just the price ticker. Now, before we wrap up, let me hand you a quick action checklist that you can actually use after this video. You got to research utility updates weekly. Ignore the rumor mill unless you can actually verify it. Next, map out your target zones. Grab a sticky note, jot down 10, 15, 27, 40, 50, and decide, where you would trim and stick it to your monitor. Third, join that free Discord and find an accountability buddy, right? Trading in an echo chamber is how you potentially go deaf. And next, right, if you're new, why don't you try out the Kraken crypto exchange? Kraken Pro is pretty decent, if I do say so myself. So give it a test run. Its interface is less intimidating than most. Just remember though that the link in the description is an affiliate link, which equals coffee for me and risk for you. Next, sleep. No, seriously, right? The market's open 24/7, but your brain doesn't. And because compliance is the adult in the room, let's bookmark this with the same disclaimer that kicked things off, loud and clear, right? This might just shock you, but I am not a financial advisor and nothing in this video is financial advice. Cryptocurrencies are highly volatile and you could lose all of the money that you invest. You should always do your own research and consult a qualified professional. Your investments are entirely your responsibility and you should know that nothing is ever guaranteed when it comes to investing. Neither I, this channel, nor YouTube are liable for any losses. And this video today was for entertainment and educational purposes only.